Welcome to Ladybug Fabrics, where we have all of your sewing needs. We have cotton, knits, cotton prints, zippers, we have books. We have some free swatches here that have been donated to us. We have buttons, thread. This is one of our store samples that was made out of a corduroy. Can you believe that? We have another store sample in our poncho. We had this class. If you missed it, you don't know what you missed. In our sale box. And we have some different notions. We have some patterns. We have some patterns that are 50% off. And I'm Angie. I own Ladybug Fabrics. And I hope to see you. But today I have a short tutorial for you that will only take probably about 30 minutes of your time. Come see me for your supplies. Enjoy the video. Good morning, everybody. We're going to be learning how to make this cool dish towel, cooking towel, kitchen towel. My friend, Gail Dalrymple, showed me how to do it. So I'm going to share it with y'all today. It is so cute. But you're going to need one hand towel and a strip of fabric. Now, this strip of fabric that I used was the width of the fabric. But I don't know if I'm just short or what, but it's going to take about 36 inches length. So it'll come about right here. And instead of down here, I just found that it was a little low like this. But then as I got used to it, it wasn't. So this was a piece of 45-inch fabric that is cut the width of your towel. So go ahead, grab your supplies, and I'll be right back. Thanks. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is to take our dish towel and we're going to find the center and we're going to cut it in half. So I'm going to cut mine in half and I will end up with 2 pieces of a dish towel, okay? So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find a coordinating fabric. We're going to lay that fabric out and we're going to cut it the same width of our dish towel. And we're going to cut it all the way across the width of the fabric. So let's hold on and let's find us some fabric. Okay, so as you see, I found some red coordinating fabric that goes with my dish towel. And what I'm going to do is I have cut it across the width of my dish towel and I have the whole length here, okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to press, and we're going to press all of our dish towel ends, both of those, and then we're going to press our fabric. I would suggest using a little spray starch while you're doing that, so it will hold the shape of your fabric and it will also prevent a lot of fraying. A lot of times when you are sewing and cutting and moving and turning everything, you'll get a lot of fraying on the edges, but the starch will prevent it from fraying. So now we have sprayed, pressed, And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our dish towel and we're going to lay it out, and we're going to match the edges. And I forgot to say, it is right sides together. So we're going to match the right sides together, match the edges and the sides here, and we're going to pin it. Pin it on the edge and in the middle, then make sure it's all lined up evenly across the side, and then pin it that way. Okay, so let's pin both ends using our using our coordinating fabric and both pieces of our dish towel. Okay, we're at our sewing machine. We have one end of the coordinating fabric and our dish towel under the presser foot, and we are going to sew 5/8 of an inch seam across that. Don't sew over your pins. It can make you break a needle, break the pin. Now, I'm a big component of not sewing over your pins. Make sure that your sides stay lined up and sew all the way across. You know, when I was in high school, when you get to sewing really fast like this, my home ec teacher, Miss Hilda Harmon, would scream from the other room, because we had a room that was nothing but sewing machines. And she would say, "We're not having a race. We're not in a car race. You're not Mario Andretti." You know, and every time I sew, I think about poor old Miss Harmon. I am going to back stitch here because I do not want, you know, like if you're jerking on your towel or something, I don't want it to pull and come unsewn. So I'm going to pull it, cut my threads. Make sure you go to the beginning and cut your threads there also. And then we're going to switch to the other end, and we're going to sew it also. Sorry about that, my camera cut off. But we're going to pin all the way down to make sure that our coordinating fabric does not move while we're sewing. And one thing that I want you to know is we are not, I repeat, we are not going to sew in the area where our dish towel is. We're going to leave both ends of it open, okay? So see, we're only going to sew from there to the other end. My seam is going to start where I made my first seam. Can you see? There, we're going to start right there where you can see those stitches. And we're going to stitch 5/8 of a seam all the way down. And we're going to make sure we stop right there where our other seam started. Okay? All right. We've got everything pinned. So now let's go back to our sewing machine and make our seam. I have my piece at the machine. I have the needle down exactly where my first seam started, and I'm going to sew 5/8 of an inch all the way down. And as I get to my pins, I am going to take those pins out, making sure that my edges stay together and not move while I'm sewing. And we're going to sew all the way down. Back at the ironing board, and we're going to set our seam. We just sewed. Okay. And now we're going to turn our handy dandy little drying towel right side out. And now we're going to take it, make sure that our seam is in the middle, and we're going to press it. Press that seam open nice and flat. And while you're at it, you can go ahead and press your seams on the side to make it look really nice. I never thought about this. Y'all, I used one that I made during Thanksgiving when I was cooking our, I guess you could call it a quarantine lunch for Dean and myself. And I just got to where I really liked this little throw. Okay, let's look and see what we have. Okay. Take it, put it around our neck, and look at that. You have a nice little dish towel that you can wear around your neck while you're cooking. I mean, you could even go so far as you could have it monogrammed with someone's name. You could have their initials or just leave it plain. But there's one more step that we want to do before we're actually finished. We're going to come back to our machine and we're going to top stitch. And the way I top stitch is I like to line up the very edge of my presser foot to the seam, and we're going to stitch straight across, keeping the edge of our presser foot next to the edge of our seam. Now when you get to the middle, it's going to be very cumbersome, so you may, there it goes, it went really well. Straight across. Now, as I like to tell my friend Gail, we're going to back stitch one time. I go back one stitch and then go forward one stitch. So that way you don't have an ugly mess on the bottom. And then we're going to do the other end. We're going to top stitch it. Start at the edge, one stitch, back one stitch, and here we go. We're going to go right straight across. Make sure everything is laid out smooth. Okay. Keeping the edge of the presser foot right next to the seam. And you have a nice 1/4 inch seam. Back stitch one time, forward one time, and that string is secured. Cut our strings on both sides. Okay, I've already cut that one. And then we're going to cut this one. Now let's see what it looks like totally finished. Check this little thing out. Is that not neat? Look, it's sewn. Let me get up here to where you can see it. We have a nice little top stitch there to keep it in place. And now you can wash dishes, you can cook, wipe things off, whatever you want to do. And it was so easy. I hope you enjoyed my first video, and I promise I'll get better. Let me know what you think, and send me some pictures of yours. Have a good day.